Hey everyone, so you're relocating to Houston, Texas. How do I narrow down my search? Where do I even start? We'll tell you coming up. And I'm Bret, Wallace.
And we're your Houston Local Guide. Okay, so before we get into the great content today, go ahead, subscribe to our channel, hit that little notification bell. By now, you know we release a new video every single week. And while you're down below, don't forget to get our email and our phone number. Do not hesitate to reach out to us anytime. So we are super excited about this video, and I should have gotten the memo that I needed my own pink t-shirt with my name on it, but I digress.
Full disclosure, it's Mother's Day, so my mom will like it. So
anyway, so let's start out first, Bret, by talking about HAR.com. This site is the one true source of content. This is our multiple listing service, or what we call MLS here in Houston. And when I say single source of truth, Bret, let's cue up this graphic for everyone. A lot of people don't realize this, but all of the other websites that you're probably familiar with here actually aggregate content from HAR.com. So as realtors here in the Houston area, we really encourage our consumers, our clients, to go to HAR.com because it is real up-to-date, information. And sometimes there's a lag actually getting to other sites. So go ahead.
Yeah, HAR is real-time updating. So that's where the pros are. Hey, if you like the Zillow app or you like the Realtor.com app and you're comfortable, Redfin even, by all means use it. Just cross-reference it with HAR because that is the Bible truth. HAR is the most up-to-date, and that's where everything starts from anyway.
Exactly. So it's going to represent all the active listings in the area. And a lot of times what we do for our clients is set up personalized auto searches. So you're going to get used to seeing HAR.com references from us. The one thing I did want to caveat though, Bret, is obviously resale properties are on here, like townhomes, condos, single family homes. But if you are looking for new construction, so some builders do post new construction listings here, but it's not all of them. The Houston market is moving so quickly that it's really just more of a sampling here than everything. So if you are wanting new construction, Bret and I will need to reach out to contacts here in the greater Houston area and talk, about what is the latest inventory, that sort of thing.
So it's changing hourly.
Exactly. So
with pricing, not only availability, pricing, it's crazy. So inventory homes are typically the only ones that are usually listed. And since there's hardly any inventory, you're really not going to get much new home construction information through HAR or anything on the website. All that information is kind of handled between us professionals at the desk of the individual builder.
Right. So let's just talk about our two approaches to helping clients find homes here, because YouTube is blown up for us and we thank you for all the support, but we are getting people calling us from all over the world and asking us to help them find homes here. And we love what we do. So again, we have two kind of different paths that we take. We like to talk about a targeted search, which we'll get into, or a non-targeted search. Bret, explain what that means.
So targeted search, say, hey, I'm a radiologist and I'm going to be working at Memorial Hermann in the medical center. And I need to live within 20-minute commute. That's easy, right? So where the hub of your transit and kind of your commute's going to be. And so it's a little bit easier, to be honest. So what you can do is get on Google Maps. Say you're going to work at 9 in the morning and you're leaving at 5. Probably not the best hours to be coming and going in Houston traffic, but whatever time you anticipate being on the roads, you could be in Idaho and you could be 6 months before your transfer comes over. Get up on a Monday morning and put in the Memorial Hermann address where you're working and another address of a neighborhood that you are kind of fond of. So just to get an idea of what real-time travel time is going to be once you start commuting. Because I have people that say, hey, I don't care where we live as long as it's within an hour of my job. It's like, maybe you're okay, but let's make it 10, 15, 20 minutes. So targeted search, if you know where you're going to be spending the majority of your activity, whether it's family, friends, worship center, whatever, if you can drop a pin on the map and kind of know where you're going to be spending the majority of your time. We can try to find something that's the closest to that meets your criteria for the actual property and the home needs.
Exactly. Now on the flip side, you might call us and say, like, I can live anywhere. I have complete flexibility. We do have people that are like, hey, we can work remote, we can work anywhere. So it kind of tends to be like this more broad, overwhelming thing. So we talk to them a little bit more about lifestyle and what you like to do. So do you want green nature trails? Do you want to live by the water? Do you want to live in the hustle and bustle of the city? You know, are you going to clubs? I mean, I don't know, right, Bret? I mean,
I don't go any clubs.
not anymore.
I've never been, and I'm never going back. But yeah, so if you want to live, if you say, hey, I want half an acre to an acre, well, you're probably moving farther away from the city. Say, like she said, I love going fishing. I want to be on the bay. I want to be going to Matagorda and Galveston.
Right.
Then, you know, south into the east. You're like, hey, I love big trees, and I love nature preserves, and, you know, all the forests and all the parks are in Amber's territory in Cypress and up the north and the west. So, say Houston National Park, and there's just, let us know your lifestyle. Let's just have that talk. We'll conversate, and we'll kind of see what's important to you. And like you said, you want to be dense in the urban environment, like inside the city, and you want proximity to all these 5-star dining and retail. And hey, that's cool. We can cater to that. We just need to know your lifestyle. If you're like, hey, I can work from anywhere in the world as long as I have a laptop and, you know, great internet connection, I can work anywhere. Well, then really, I mean, there's a lot of options, and we'll try to narrow that down by just talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back to the targeted search really quickly. And by the way, everything we're talking about, we're going to have links below. We're going to have lists below. So you might be taking notes, but you don't need to. Just go below in the description area at the end of the video, and you can copy and paste everything we're talking about. I mean, you could actually copy and paste and send us an email after this and say, hey, this was really helpful. This is what I want you to target for me. So first and foremost, if you do need to live in a specific area, we can search by area, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and cue this up. So we could search, I love this map. Again, this link is going to be below. You might just have a general quadrant that you want to live in. We can actually set up a search by one or multiple areas represented here, which you're seeing here with the color coding. We can get as specific as zip codes. We've even had some people say, hey, I want to live where certain schools are, like a certain school district. Now, we'll touch on schools in a minute, but in terms of geographic locations, I think this is really helpful.
Yeah, and of course, if you know a zip code, if you have a couple zip codes that you want to include, cool. If you say, hey, if you're really familiar with the road system, which chances are you're probably not if you're moving in and relocating.
Watch our Houston Transit video if you haven't already.
Yeah, yes, be very cautious of mileage is a lot different than minutes. Houston is so spread out. But yeah, if you have ideas like, I don't want anything north of I-10 or I don't want anything east of 45, cool. We can do a physical boundary search and highlight the grid, and only properties that are in that grid will show up on your personalized search. So, you know, like Amber said, area, no matter how we figure it out, cool. 1 or 2 story homes.
Yes.
Ideal square footage range. You live in an 1,800 square foot apartment and you like, Bret, Amber, we need, you know, a lot. People know the needs, and, you know, it's not always about the square footage, it's how it's allocated. And the newer home construction just seems to pack a little more punch with some of the square footage. So square footage range, number of bedrooms, you know, that's you know, 4th bedroom sometimes can double as a study or double as an office. Cool. But just let us know your needs as far as bedrooms or rooms needed. Because if you have 3 kids and you and your husband or whatever, you know, you need 4 bedrooms plus a study, right? Or 5 bedrooms without the study. So,
yeah. And then sometimes people are like, oh, we have to have a pool, right? Or we don't want a pool. It's a risk. So we can filter by that too. Just a quick note, new construction typically does not have a pool. So that would be something you would need to add on later. Also, in terms of a newer home, a lot of times people are like, hey, we want something a little bit more energy efficient. Our kind of like mark in the sand is 2002 and newer. So that's when
double pane windows are mandatory, at least in Texas, and I think other places also. But 2002 and newer are going to have double pane windows. 2001's the last year of single pane. And in my opinion, that's probably one of the, if not the biggest energy efficiency difference. But also, you know, a lot of other people, like she's mentioned, new construction. People are like, I want new construction. I want the lowest tax rate possible. Kind of goes in cross purposes a lot because it costs money to set up the utility districts, and there's mud taxes. Generally speaking, if you're in the city and you're getting new construction, you know, it's going to cost you a few bucks, but your tax rate will probably be lower if you're piggybacking off the city systems and existing water and sewage.
And just picking up on that, Bret, a good point about taxes. We've had some clients who are like, we refuse to pay over 2.9% or whatever it is. We can actually filter by tax rate if that's like your #1 priority. And for some of our clients, it is, because if you're coming here from other places, you might be a little surprised about the amount of property tax that you might pay. But again, we don't have state income tax here in Texas, so we feel like it offsets just a hair.
So recapping the priority list, obviously area and price point and budget.
That's what I was going to say.
So if you haven't talked with the lender, if it's a cash deal, you obviously know your budget.
Yes.
But yeah, speaking with the lender, if you're utilizing a loan, a mortgage loan is step #1, and that's a whole other video. And I'm sure we've already done videos on that. So knowing your price range based on what you're comfortable with, down payment, monthly mortgage, what your note is going to be, and what area. That's the first two things to kind of filter down, and then all the other things kind of fall in place. So let's get to, there's three other topics, and they seem to be
coming up a lot.
At every call, especially with people relocating, we understand why. So let's talk about schools, and I'm going to pull up the listing that you have currently, or one.
Absolutely. And so one thing we wanted to point out is that once we set you up on a personalized search, this is what a view of a typical listing will be like for you. This happens to be one of my listings. It's already under contract. But Brett, if we can scroll to the bottom, I just wanted to point this out for everyone. We cannot search by ratings ourselves. Again, you might have a particular school district you want to live in, but I did want to point this out. It's very, very helpful. And because it's so below the fold here, a lot of people miss it. At the very bottom of a listing, you're going to see schools and where it's zoned to. Now, this should be independently verified, but we're just going off of the information that was provided by the client in this example. But you'll see, okay, elementary, middle, and high school B ratings. Okay, so you'll sometimes see a mix of this, but you might just be really dead set on like, hey, I need to live, where it's A+ ratings across the board. I think HAR.com actually has a vanity dedicated URL, Brett.
Yeah,
right?
School Finder.
Yes.
So this is a listing that would have been sent to you if it was in your criteria.
Right.
Click on Cypress Creek High School, accountability ratings, student achievement, progress, distinctions, blue ribbon designations, breaks down demographics, ratios of teachers to students, how long the average tenure is. I mean, this is, if somebody says, hey, are there good schools? I mean, that's such a speculative and
it's very subjective.
Yeah. So this is the data. So as far as schools, HAR,
Yes.
you can literally type in HAR. Is this the tab?
That's what I was saying.
Boom,
Yes.
right there, HAR.com school. So like, oh, they got private schools. I literally did not know that. You learn something every day.
Good thing we're doing this video, Brett.
So if I'm searching for my son because I want him to be at the head of the class, I'll search for those and make sure he's just the big fish in a little pond. But you can search by rating. So, HAR.com/school if you're looking at a specific school. But whenever you look at a listing, anything blue, typically the hyperlink, if you hover your mouse over it and it shows it's a hyperlink, click on it, see what happens.
Exactly.
It's not a virus. If it's on HAR.com, it's not a virus. Okay, so schools. Anything else you want to go over about schools?
No, I think that covers that.
Okay.
So what's the other big topic we get asked about all the time?
Well, and also if you're moving down here and your kid wants to go to a certain school, we can definitely search by just Cypress Creek High School, just homes that are zoned to that. And we would always independently verify with you. But HAR kind of, when listings get put up, it has a verification system, but zoning is, there's always the rumor like, hey, I'm hearing this, so we don't traffic in the rumor mill when it comes to schools, but we always say independently verify. But it is the most accurate and up to date that we can get a hold of. And a lot of times we can set up tours. We can talk to superintendents if you want to go see the schools with your children or with your spouse, which is the people around here are very, very helpful with people relocating to Houston. So that's it for schools. Let's go to what you were, before I interrupted you.
So the other huge topic that comes up in every conversation, and we don't blame anyone, is flooding. Okay. Did the home flood during Hurricane Harvey? Yes. We're never going to get over that, are we, Brett? So unfortunately, we don't have a way to filter, right? We can't set up an auto search for you based on if something is flooded or not, but there is definitely some great sources for information.
So any seller is supposed to fill out a seller's disclosure notice and answer every question honestly. So that's usually the first place I look, and let's just assume we're in Texas. Most people are very God-fearing, honest, very, very, it's the southern thing, right? But hey, there's some bad guys out there, as there is anywhere. So we'll look at the seller's disclosure to see if there's been any natural flood events, or what, like with the Texas freeze, pipe could burst. Right. That too should be disclosed, even if it's not an act of God or whatever, a force majeure, something like that happened from a hurricane or flooding or a reservoir breached, or a levee improvement district problem. So that's first and foremost. We can usually get that from the other agent if it's not listed in the listing. But the second thing would be to just type in, for instance, Harris County flood map. That's what we typed in here, and that is this link here. We copy and pasted Amber's listing that was an example we showed you on the schools, and we just typed it in here on the Harris County flood mapping tool that we found on Google. And there is the home, right, that we were showing you the listing for. Here is obviously floodway 1%, then the 0.2%, 1%, the floodplain map. So obviously the darker the blue, the higher inundation levels. So there's tools out there. And if you're looking at Fort Bend County or some other, FEMA has a nationwide website.
Yes.
I don't think the flood mapping tool, I think the more local you can get with the emergency management districts and websites for the actual county or area jurisdiction you're looking in, it's out there. So, and then obviously the ultimate say so on flood matters is an insurance agent.
Correct.
Which we have a couple great, awesome,
Yes.
awesome insurance agents. And we'll have their information linked below for anything on the Gulf Coast, anything in the greater Houston area. These guys they'll not only tell you where it is now, they'll look in the archive and they can run a clue report and kind of see if there's been claims. If there was a claim around August of 2017 for $100,000 and somebody's saying there's never been any problems, it's like, that was a month after Harvey or a few weeks,
Things aren't adding up. And that's the other thing too. We always recommend to our clients to get flood insurance, whether you really are living in a flood zone area or not. I mean, if you're in a floodway area, you're going to be required to get flood insurance, and that does come with a premium. So also wanted to mention that. But if you don't live in an area where you have to have it, it's relatively expensive. And our insurance agents or yours can, get you a quote really quickly and just add it to your annual premium. So, Bret, anything else on this topic?
No, just for flooding, buyer beware, due diligence. It's out there. Use the flood mapping tools.
Yes.
Talk to your insurance agents. And between the seller's disclosure notice, us, the insurance agent, and these flood mapping tools, you're going to get a pretty good idea. I don't know. Down here, it is kind of like Harvey is the test of all tests.
Yeah.
So if
you're like, oh, your house survived Hurricane Harvey, which both of ours did. Whew, thank goodness. We're like, that says a lot.
Yeah, and since then, a lot of the levee improvement districts have been beefing up, and the other like Houston flood control, definitely it's still in the forefront of people's mind down here. We're trying to make sure that if a future event of that magnitude happens, that we'll fare better.
Right. There's definitely more preventive measures being put in place.
Let's go to another topic that people always ask, and it's like, again, this is a very kind of subjective question. What's up with crime? Is that neighborhood safe?
Yeah, we don't work for the FBI, FYI, so we have to be really careful about this. I mean, crime is everywhere, right? But some people are like, oh, it's like a hotbed of crime in this area. We're like, hey, well, again, independently verify, do research on your own. There are other great websites of information that you can pull up and do your own searches.
Yeah, and depending on where, like I know Sugarland, which is where I live, Sugarland has you can just type in Sugarland crime, and the Sugarland Police Department are really good about codifying and reporting and shading the different precincts within Sugarland, and kind of it's awesome. So depending on the jurisdiction or what area, Harris County, whatever, the sheriff's department, are they the ones reporting all the data? There is, let me go ahead and open up that window. Let me drive here for a second. For instance, I just typed in Harris County crime, or this community crime map came up, and this is again the same example of the listing that we've been looking at, and that's the home. And then you see, I mean, obviously there's a code of what these things mean. There's a car, it's probably a burglary. There's a fist. Somebody got hit. Aggravated assault. Willowbrook Mall. I can't believe it. But anyway, so there's tools on the open source, and I always say like open source intel gathering, Google. So and drive the areas. If you're not down here yet, it's gonna be kind of hard. But there's you can conduct a decent amount of research, and then obviously once you get boots on the ground here, and you're driving, you're walking, and getting more introduced to the area and walking around. Your sixth sense will kind of tell you what
exactly. And a lot of times we'll tell people school ratings can be indicative of this. They kind of go hand in hand a little bit. So we're like, hey, if you're seeing really poor school ratings, hey, you might want to check the crimes. I mean, right?
Yeah, but good news is everybody. I mean, this is Houston. It's not like most major cities. I would say we've talked about this in other. People are for the most part pretty respectful here. But man, if it's the middle of the night and you're in an area you shouldn't be, that just. Try to.
I take Bret with me at that point. I feel safe about Bret.
But overall, I feel like it's not your typical big city. That a lot of there's been some problems in the last few years, especially in some of the major cities with things. But an armed society is a polite society, and down here you got to assume that there's a good chance that
that's true.
That's why there's not much road rage down here, even though it's hot. It's hot during the summer, but
it is. We're gearing up right now. Yeah. The other thing sometimes people ask us about, is like, I want a particular aesthetic, or I want something really contemporary or modern, or I want this kind of island. This is the thing. HAR.com, which we spoke about at the beginning, is one of the most robust websites you will find in the country in terms of real estate. And you will find many a photo of all the listings. So a lot of times we start drilling down, and then we say, hey, at that point, then we really just have to look through the pictures and scroll through them. And that's a very quick and easy process. And most people that I know like the process of like looking at home photos. It's enjoyable. And that way we can quickly rule things out. Really, the way we approach things is that it's a process of elimination, right? That's basically what we're doing. We start broad and then we kind of keep narrowing in. So this small confined spot. And then hopefully if we've done this video right, doing our jobs right, we're gonna have a handful of fantastic homes to tour you in, and the right one is gonna present itself.
Yeah, it's just filtering down and a process of elimination. We toured a couple that reached out to us from YouTube this week, and we did a lot of new home construction touring on Monday and Tuesday. And I mean, by day 3, they were like, this is the this is the builder, this is the neighborhood. And they got acquainted with the neighborhood. They went Monday and drove the areas. And by Tuesday and Wednesday, they were so much more targeted each day in each conversation. So that's what we're here for. And hopefully this video served as kind of like a blueprint of how to narrow down your search focus when trying to buy a home here.
Exactly. So, and if you're months out from moving here, you can start getting familiarized with the type of homes that are available, or like, oh, I can get this size home for this price point. But I will say, this market is insane. So I just want to manage expectations. If you see a dream home now and you're thinking moving here in 3 or 4 months, it's not going to be available. I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, right, Bret?
But my client in Manhattan Beach, California, sent me a $1.2 million listing in Sugar Land.
It's going to be Bret.
And no, listen. And I sent him comps, and I said, overpriced. And he goes, yeah, it is. Oh. And they had an open house yesterday. The home came out on Thursday. Didn't even last till Saturday. And it was listed at 1.2 million, and I felt it should have been right more around $1 million flat, and under contract before the open house. So on Friday, basically. So we were hoping they were going to get some feedback that it was a little overpriced, and hopefully come in Monday or Tuesday
and snatch it up, and you're like, oh.
So it's very wild, and it's not just here; it's in a lot of markets in the country. So we want to help you narrow down your focus, and we're available. It's just this video. I mean, necessity is the mother of all invention, and this video is needed. So we hope that this helps you in figuring out, how do I narrow down my search focus? And we're always here to assist you and guide you. And we love talking to all of you guys, and we're really touched that so many people have been reaching out.
Yes, again,
and I'm not just saying that. It's multiple times a day.
It's moving, yes, and we have just met the nicest people in the whole world that we will forever call friends, and we're grateful. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, get our email and phone number below. Call and reach out to us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.